Yulin Dog Meat Festival has just begun in Yulin, Guangxi, China. The annual festival lasts 10 days, and tens of thousands of dogs and cats are tortured, killed, and ultimately eaten. Let me just say this, what's happening there is really heartbreaking. If you want to know the reality, I have linked the video by Stop Yulin in the description below. It's one of the most disgusting and heartbreaking things I've ever seen. However, what happens in Yulin to the dogs and cats isn't any worse than what's happening to the animals we consume in the rest of the world, considering that industrial pig farming in the US, UK, and Australia carries a standard practice of beating piglets to the ground to death. But this video is not about the brutality or the animal abuse itself, it's about the universal concept of animal exploitation and the notion of speciesism, and the cultural hypocrisies and oxymorons we have in this society full of animal lovers. Let's get right in. So, Yulin Dog Meat Festival started back in 2009, so it's a new tradition. And since then, it's been causing global outrage, and so many individuals, communities, and organizations around the world have been asking for the end of the festival. Now, a Vice reporter asked local people what they thought about eating dogs, and here's what they said. Dogs are flavorful and nutritious. People raise dogs and sell them for food to make money, and there's nothing extraordinary about it. We have the right to do so. Now, the question is, how do those justifications sound to you? Do they really justify the existence of the festival? Let's compare that to our current situation. World Cow, Pig, Chicken, and Fish Festival lasts 365 days a year. And each year, over 70 billion land animals and 1 to 3 trillion marine animals are killed and eaten. So the culture of eating those animals is far worse in terms of the number of victims. Now we must ask ourselves, what justifications do we use? Well, we need protein, and animals are a great source of protein and iron, of course. Farmers need to make a living, so eating animals helps the economy of our country. But most importantly, meat taste good, which are the same exact justifications they use to eat dogs and cats. So culture and tradition is what has built the habit of meat eating today, and what has allowed us to use those justifications. We all know that eating animals is part of our culture and many traditions. For example, in America and some other places, eating turkey brings people together. In the US alone, 45 million turkeys are killed just for us to get together on Thanksgiving. Similarly, eating dogs and cats brings people in Yulin and many other places in China and some other Asian regions together. So we all share this concept of human supremacy and animal exploitation, but why is it that we do not respect their culture and tradition? Why is it that we do the opposite? So going back to Yulin, some said, because cows are sacred in India, if you eat cows in England, all of India is against you. It's the same logic. So the question becomes, does culture define morality? So if we think what we do to the animals in the West is right, then would it be right if we brought those dogs and cats to our country and have them slaughtered and eaten the same way we do to cows and pigs and chicken and all the animals we exploit and consume in the West? Would that make it moral? Or if you had a chance to visit Yulin, would you join the festival and eat the dogs and cats? What if you had a chance to travel to Taiji, Japan, where they slaughter hundreds of dolphins every year? Would you respect the action and eat the dolphins because it's cultural or traditional? Probably not. If those animals we raise in horrific conditions in factory farms were replaced with puppies and kittens, we would most likely feel very differently about our culture. Would you use the same justifications, which are taste, protein, or iron, to consume them? Is the answer no? This is speciesism. It's the idea that some lives are worth more than others because of their group, appearance, intelligence, and ability. But more importantly, this is what developed human supremacy. While we get so angry and upset at the fact that dogs and cats are being killed for food, we kill incomparably more sentient beings in our developed countries, and we do so because those animals look different. Some are cute and some are not so cute. Therefore, we have the right to exploit and do whatever we want to those that don't look favorable to us, which is the same exact reason some of us decide to use to oppress human beings over. The only difference between a dog and a cow is your perception. So now you should see that culture isn't a good guideline for our morality. So my next question is, does the practice of exploitation performed on animals even matter? In the Vice video, they said that the living condition of the dogs has gotten so much better these days. Does that make it moral? Would we say, okay, then that's totally humane? The truth is, individuals, communities, and organizations from around the world have not been asking Yulin for better treatment of dogs and cats by putting them in bigger cages, or putting free range or RSPCA approved labels on the meat, or for a reduction of the number of dogs to be killed, but simply for the end of the festival itself. We say that the festival needs to be abolished and come to an end. Now, why is it? This is because we know that exploitation of dogs and cats in the form of a festival is absolutely unnecessary. And we know that when an unnecessary action involves a victim, the action cannot be morally justified. And more importantly, the fact that the cruel action is unnecessary shows that the only reason it is done is for our sensory pleasure, which is never a valid justification for doing whatever we want to others. And the same moral responsibility to protect them should apply to the non-human animals we needlessly kill. Just like we don't need to eat dogs or cats for protein or iron, and just like we don't need to drink dog milk or cat milk for calcium, we do not need to eat the animals we consume in the West and their secretions for our survival. In the Western developed countries, supermarkets and meat companies put free range or RSPCA approved labels on the products they sell. Do they make the exploitation of the animals moral? For example, in the UK, farmers claim that animal farms in the UK have the highest animal welfare standards in the world. But do the animals care? The labels mean absolutely nothing to the animals confined and enslaved in factory farms. The notion of animal welfare is not for the animals but for us to ease our conscience when buying those products. This is simply marketing. Laws are also made around our cultures. For example, it is illegal to beat dogs and cats and other wild animals. We will get arrested for doing so. However, again, industrial pig farming in Western developed countries carries a standard practice of beating injured piglets to the ground to death. Something is clearly not right. Just because something is legal doesn't mean it's ethical. It is time for us to recognize the unnecessary pain, suffering, and death that we inflict to other sentient beings just for our sensory pleasure. So once we have identified the existence of speciesism in our culture and within ourselves, if we believe dogs and cats deserve our moral consideration, we should know that it is time to align our actions with our core values and extend and apply the same equal moral consideration to all other sentient beings. So really the ultimate question that we need to ask ourselves is, what kind of culture and tradition do we want to pass on to our future generations? If you found this video insightful, please share with others and help spread awareness. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video.